Good evening. Tonight, we take a closer look at the rising wave of protests happening across the country, from Los Angeles to Atlanta, Chicago to New York. What's behind this surge of public demonstration? What are people demanding? And what deeper forces are at play? Over the past several weeks, streets in dozens of American cities have filled with protesters. Marches, rallies, sit-ins, and even overnight occupations have become a near-daily occurrence in some urban centers. While many of these demonstrations have remained peaceful, there have been reports of clashes, property damage, and arrests in cities like Portland, Houston, and Philadelphia. The protests are large, organized, and growing, but they are not about a single issue. Rather, they reflect a broader sense of discontent built over years and intensified by recent events. The most visible and immediate cause? Police violence and racial injustice. A recent case in Los Angeles, where a young black man was hospitalized after an allegedly aggressive arrest, sparked nationwide outrage. The footage, captured on a bystander's phone, went viral. It reminded many of similar incidents from the past decade: George Floyd in 2020, Breonna Taylor, Daunte Wright, and countless others whose names have become rallying cries. For many Americans, especially Black and brown communities, these incidents are not isolated. They are part of a pattern: excessive force, lack of accountability, and systemic bias within law enforcement. The demand is clear: reform the system, end qualified immunity, increase community oversight, demilitarize the police, and ensure that no one is above the law, not even those sworn to uphold it. But beyond policing, there's also a deep economic frustration fueling the protests. The gap between rich and poor in America has widened dramatically over the past 2 decades. The COVID-19 pandemic, automation, and inflation all contributed to job insecurity and rising living costs, especially in working-class communities. Young people, in particular, feel squeezed. They're graduating into a world of skyrocketing rents, stagnant wages, and unaffordable health care. And for many, protest is not just about policy, it's about survival. Another major factor is climate anxiety. In cities like Miami, Denver, and Seattle, youth-led climate groups have joined protests with signs that read, "No justice on a dead planet." For younger Americans, the climate crisis is not an abstract issue, it's their future. Wildfires, floods, heat waves, they're already living with the consequences of decades of inaction. And there's a growing feeling among Gen Z and younger millennials that their concerns, whether about climate, gun control, or student debt, are consistently ignored by older generations in power. For them, protesting is a way to be heard and to demand change now, not later. America is also more politically divided than it has been in decades. Some protesters are marching in favor of reproductive rights, LGBTQ+ protections, or voting access. Others, in more conservative communities, have protested immigration policy, taxes, or what they see as government overreach. While their causes differ, the common thread is distrust in institutions, in politicians, and in the system itself. There's a growing sense, on all sides, that government is not listening or not acting fast enough. And that frustration is now spilling into the streets. So where does this leave us? Protests have long been a part of American history, from the Boston Tea Party to Selma to Occupy Wall Street. They're messy, they're emotional, but they are also essential. They force conversations, they shift narratives, and sometimes they spark real change. Whether through legislation, elections, or ongoing civic pressure, the outcome of today's protests depends on what comes next. For now, the streets are speaking, and the nation is watching.